Dr. Ehad Mohamed is now just plain Dr. Ehab. That's the way his name appears in a Sunday LA Times ad. Just last week, the California State Medical Board updated its website to show numerous actions pending against Dr. Ehad Mohamed. A patient recently died undergoing a $100,000 all-day liposuction in his office. The lawyer representing the family of that patient says using only his first name appears designed to prevent possible patients from discovering all the negative comments.
Put in the name Mohammed, you can find him, but if you put in the name Ehab, there's no Dr. Ehab that has a license in California that I could find.
Dr. Ehad Mohamed has been unavailable to KNX for comment. Charles Feldman, KNX 1070, News Radio.
Former patient speaking out about a doctor who's been the subject of an exclusive KNX investigation. Anne-Marie McMahon is included in a complaint by the California Medical Board against Dr. Ehad Mohamed. She tells KNX at first she only went in for a consultation.
I was told that if I started treatment on that day, then I would get a $40,000 reduction in the fee because of the Harvard study. And he also told me that he was going to be leaving for Boston the next day, and I was going to be the last person who could get in on this study. And, because I was such a mess and I had such terrible sun damage, and he really, really wanted me to be part of the study.
Well, KNX has found out that Harvard study did not exist. But McMahon didn't know that and tells our Charles Feldman she went ahead with the treatment.
Foolish me. I went into the room, and he gave me Xanax, he gave me Vicodin, and I was totally out of it. Also, while I was totally out of it, he had me sign for an additional $5,000 worth of lip augmentation, which I don't even like. And just looking at my signature on that, you can tell that that wasn't quite kosher.
So he added. You're saying that he added a procedure and expenses that he had you sign for when you're not in any condition to know what you were doing?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
After the procedure, McMahon says she was walked to her car but was so out of it that it took her 2 hours to drive from Beverly Hills to her home in Studio City.
I came in the house, vomit all over me, unable to really tell where I'd been because I didn't know. So the next day, when I woke up after 14 hours, I called Dr. Mohamed and told him that I would not be coming back for treatment number 2 since he damn near killed me after treatment number 1. And he said, well, you may as well come and have it done anyway because you're going to be charged for it because it's already gone through the credit card companies.
No comment on this from Dr. Mohamed. This, by the way, happened in 2008, and the State Medical Board hearing on it is coming up next week.
Dr. Ehad Mohamed denied his actions during an all-day liposuction were responsible for the death of a woman in his office, claimed the state medical board was out to get him, and denied he changed his name in a recent newspaper ad so that patients could not easily track allegations against him on a medical board website. Here is part of my interview. That the reason why Sharon Carpenter Nicholson died while undergoing the procedure in your office was not because anything you did incorrectly, but because of her genetics?
Absolutely, because of her genetics and her coronary artery disease that was asymptomatic without any symptoms that occluded 2 of her major arteries to the heart by 70%. Means over 2/3 of the blood flow to her heart was occluded at the time.
Let me ask you, though, Doctor, before you did the procedure, did you ask her about family history? Did she tell you that she had, as you said...
Absolutely. I asked her, and she did not say anything about sudden cardiac death, except when she was conversing with us during the surgery itself.
I'm a little puzzled by this, and help me out on this, okay?
Sure.
All right, help me out. Why is it that you seem to be misunderstood, in your view, by a number of your patients who think and who claim that you've done procedures on them that they didn't authorize, that you charged them more money than you were supposed to, that in one case you let them leave and drive even though they were still under sedation. In this case, you're saying on the woman who died that she failed to tell you in advance that she had a family history of sudden cardiac death. Why is it that your patients seem to either misunderstand you or you misunderstand them?
Remember, this only 4 or 5 disgruntled patients out of more than 30,000 patient I treated over last 10 years.
A lawyer for the family of Sharon Carpenter Nicholson, Robert Stone, who is suing Dr. Mohamed, says the doctor is at fault for the death.
I don't think this doctor's got the truth in him.
On Monday, Dr. Mohamed goes before a judge who has temporarily barred him from performing certain procedures. Charles Feldman, KNX 1070 News Radio. It was a small courtroom handling a large issue, whether a cosmetic surgeon should be allowed to continue to practice medicine until a full hearing can be held, perhaps months down the line. The judge considering the case has already placed a restriction on the ability of Dr. Ehad Mohamed to perform certain types of surgery. This after a female patient died in his office undergoing a $100,000 14-hour liposuction procedure. The State Medical Board and Attorney General's office want the doctor's license to practice any medicine suspended, but the lawyer representing Dr. Mohamed, Ronald Marks, insists his client practices good medicine.
The main case involves the woman who died in his office, and we had the case reviewed by an anesthesiologist with good qualifications, and he didn't come to the same conclusion that they did, that there was any excessive anesthesia administered that would have caused her to suffer the cardiac arrest.
But lawyers for the government stuck by their guns, saying Dr. Mohamed is a danger to his patients and should not be allowed to continue to practice. That feeling shared by Anne-Marie McMahon, who was one of the doctor's former patients.
I don't think he should be suspended just from his liposurgery. I think he is a danger to all his patients for whatever they go to him for.
Robert Stone, the lawyer representing the family of the dead woman, spoke for the family, the woman's daughter being brought to tears several times during the proceeding.
Well, they're here today, and they really, are kind of choked up with emotion, and they didn't feel that they could really talk about it. But I could tell you that listening to what the attorney for the doctor said, it's not in accordance with their recollection of what they were told by the doctor.
The judge has up to 15 days to issue his ruling. Charles Feldman, KNX 1070 News Radio. A judge accuses the medical board of filing an important document in the case of Dr. Ehad Mohamed 3 days too late, which meant an earlier order suspending his license to practice medicine was dissolved. An emergency hearing did produce a new suspension order, but only till a hearing later this month. Lawyer Robert Stone represents the family of a patient who died undergoing an all-day liposuction.
Now, recognizing their mistake, the medical board is now refiled.
What happened here, am I correct, is that the medical board screwed up?
Well, in a word, yes.
The medical board claims the judge has his dates mixed up, so the finger-pointing continues. Charles Feldman, KNX 1070 News Radio.
KNX has learned that Beverly Hills surgeon, Dr. Ehad Mohamed, has been in the United States illegally since 2006 when his visa from Egypt was revoked by the United States government. This, according to the Immigration Department. In the meantime, Dr. Mohamed, who is also the subject of an inquiry and an investigation by the LA County DA into the death of a patient who underwent a $100,000 liposuction procedure, he himself was busted just last Friday in an LAPD sting because he allegedly tried to sell property he did not own. He is going to be arraigned this afternoon in Van Nuys on 2 counts along those charges. Reporting live from the Van Nuys Courthouse, Charles Feldman, KNX 1070 News Radio.
Dr. Mohamed is in jail now after being busted by the LAPD on charges he tried to sell medical equipment he does not own. His lawyer says it is all a misunderstanding. What does not seem to be a misunderstanding is the federal government's contention that Dr. Mohamed has been living illegally in the U.S. since his work visa was revoked in 2006. Dr. Mohamed is an Egyptian national. The LA County DA is currently investigating the death of a patient of Dr. Mohamed following a day-long liposuction procedure in his office. So how can this happen? Victor Serta, for many years, was Chief of Staff and General Counsel for U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE.
In terms of tracking individuals who are entering here in the United States, right now the country, with the exception of students, really doesn't have the technical and, frankly, the human resources, the agents, to track down the visa violators like you had here with the doctor. If there was any data on him, they know his visa expired, but aside from that, there are no red alerts, there are no notices.
The U.S. State Department revoked Dr. Mohamed's work visa, so we asked spokesman Harry Edwards to explain.
No, I'm afraid that we cannot disclose details from individual visa records, and that's under Section 222F of the Immigration and Nationalities Act.
Edwards says ICE would have been informed that Dr. Mohamed's visa was pulled, but ICE says it was never red flagged, and the California Medical Board says it does not check such matters. Again, former ICE Chief of Staff Victor Serta.
As far as I know right now, no state license for doctors checks into immigration status.
Dr. Mohamed has pleaded not guilty to the grand theft charges. A preliminary hearing is slated for next week. Charles Feldman, KNX 1070 News Radio. In 2008, some well-known L.A. area cosmetic surgeons did something extraordinary. They complained to the California State Medical Board, we are told, about another doctor. They thought he was mentally unstable and a threat to patients, we are told. They thought this because they treated him for complications from what may have been as many as 20 surgical procedures he performed upon himself. The board, we are told, failed to take disciplinary action against Dr. Mohamed. Some 2 years later, after a woman died undergoing an all-day $100,000 liposuction, and after a series of our investigative reports, the board suspended but did not revoke Dr. Mohamed's license. Robert Stone is an attorney representing the family of the dead woman.
If the medical board had only listened to these doctors, my client's wife would undoubtedly be alive today. We are all very disappointed with our state's medical board. How could they let this happen?
The medical board was unresponsive to our direct questions about the 2008 warning, instead issuing a statement that it took the necessary steps to provide public protection. Dr. Mohamed is in jail now on attempted grand theft charges. He has pleaded not guilty, and the L.A. County DA is still deciding whether to charge Dr. Mohamed criminally in the death of that patient. LAPD homicide detective Joel Price.
From my perspective, Dr. Mohamed is responsible for the death of the patient, but it is ultimately up to the district attorney's office to make the determination whether or not they are going to charge him with that crime.
Now, when you say responsible, you mean criminally responsible?
I believe so, yes.
Dr. Mohamed is an Egyptian national who has been living in the U.S. illegally, says the federal government, since 2006, when the U.S. State Department revoked his visa. Charles Feldman, KNX 1070 News Radio. Dr. Ehad Mohamed has been convicted by a Van Nuys jury of attempted grand theft, trying to sell medical equipment he did not own to a health spa for some $20,000. He was caught by an LAPD sting operation last summer. Our investigation revealed that Dr. Mohamed, an Egyptian national, had his work visa revoked by the U.S. State Department back in 2006, but continued to operate on patients here. Also, the LAPD continues to investigate Dr. Mohamed in connection with the death of a female patient who underwent a $100,000 liposuction procedure in his office. The LA County DA still wrestling with whether to charge Dr. Mohamed criminally in that case. Charles Feldman, KNX 1070 News Radio.
KNX News Time, 5:13.
Will he escape justice? It's the fear of a family of a patient who died at the hands of a former Beverly Hills cosmetic surgeon who has been the focus of a lengthy KNX investigation. And KNX 1070's investigative reporter Charles Feldman, with us in the studio this morning. Charles, good morning.
Good morning. KNX has learned that the LA County coroner no longer believes the death of Sharon Carpenter Nicholson was an accident and has amended the official autopsy report. She underwent an all-day $100,000 liposuction procedure in the office of Dr. Ehad Mohamed, an Egyptian national who was actually ordered out of the U.S. 4 years before the fatal operation. The doctor is now in federal custody awaiting deportation proceedings. The husband of the dead woman wants to know why the L.A. County DA has yet to act in light of the autopsy report change from accident to undetermined. David Nicholson.
That's why we're on the radio here. We hope we're going to make somebody do something. At least if they're not going to prosecute, give us a reasonable reason why not.
The LAPD investigator assigned to the case believes criminal charges ought to be brought against Dr. Mohamed, but if he gets deported by the feds, he will be beyond the reach of the law. Nicholson thinks this is a two-tiered system of justice here in L.A.
I have to draw the contrast to, I guess, Michael Jackson. He had a problem extremely similar to my wife's, and that guy was arrested. He's already in jail. What's fair for one is fair for two.
The DA's office will only say the case is still under review.
But still under review does not necessarily mean that they're going to do anything with it, right?
That's exactly right. And there are some people I've talked to who really believe the DA is just waiting for Dr. Mohamed to be put on a plane back perhaps to Cairo and wash their hands of the entire situation, Dick.
While the family is left in limbo.
Absolutely.
All right, Charles. Charles will be back throughout the morning with more on this case. KNX News Time, 5:15. That's